everyone. Old guy here. It is December 1811, and everyone who is anyone in Richmond, Virginia is at the theater. Even people who aren't anyone, like slaves and groundlings and freedmen, because it's 1811 and what else is there to do? It's not like you can sit at home, turn on the telly, and watch old Doc Martin reruns. So off to the theater and its boxes and SRO and third floor balconies, packed to the brim, when a chandelier is lifted into the backdrops and they catch on fire and, well. The story focuses on 4 persons caught in the disaster. Cecily, a slave accompanying her mistress, Maria Price, to see the Placide and Green troupe perform a locally translated version of Diderot's The Father. Sally Campbell, recently widowed daughter of Patrick Henry, accompanying her sister and brother-in-law. Jack Gibson, an orphaned local boy recently hired by the troupe as a stagehand who inadvertently sets the disaster in motion. And Gilbert Hunt, an enslaved blacksmith who becomes a hero and freedom fighter. Beanland uses these 4 to present antebellum society in all its warts and horror, from slavery to women's precarious positions to obtuse, self-absorbed men bent on preserving an unearned privilege. Now, of course, it's all the rage these days to disparage what is presently a fairly dubious patriarchy, but this was a real patriarchy, a real oppressive one. And thank God we finally had enough of that silliness and went down there and gave those annoying plantation owners what for? Putting an overdue end to all of this nonsense. Yes, I think the Union was well justified in taking the Confederacy apart. Yes, in many ways, I admire the tactical and fighting ability of the Confederate soldiers. They were the best soldiers we ever produced up to the greatest generation of World War II. But valor in service of a wrong cause is not virtue. There were many excellent Wehrmacht soldiers of amazing tactical and strategic ability, such as Rommel. But they used their powers for evil. Great abilities can be used for terrible purposes. But that's all 40 years away when this happens, and the oppression holds full sway, and people react accordingly. There are bad guys here. Elliot Price, Maria's brother, a full-on psychotic who is raping Cecily every night. Cameron Kemp, Gilbert's owner and commander of the slave patrol, who takes delight in his own ignorance and cruelty. And Archie Campbell, coward and self-absorbed nincompoop. William Anderson, one of the troupe's actors, tries to blame the fire on a non-existent slave result, with subsequent fallout. Idiots abound. But good people do too. Mrs. Cowley, the free black masquerading as a Native American so she can provide better medical services than that of the city's doctors. Peter, Gilbert's first owner who teaches him the trade, and Jack, who finally does the right thing. Like in any period of history or locale, the idiots and the good are set against each other, and it's the attendant events that determine which will prevail. Usually it's about 50-50, but not here. Things work out. And that's not just happy ending time. This is a real event, and Beanland presents the outcomes. She did an excellent job of research and an even better job of creating or recreating a lost world. But I do have some quibbles, as usual. First, it's present tense. Haven't all of you with it, cutting-edge, MFA, sophisticated, ultra-modern authors yet figured out how annoying that is? Especially in a historical novel. It doesn't create an immediacy of experience. It creates a false present that just 5 minutes on Google dispels. My biggest quibble: Beanland changes the narrative to support the current girl power and white male patriarchy trope by making all of the men, practically all of them, craven cowards who abandon their women on the burning stairs and trample them underfoot in their haste to escape. She admits to doing so in her author's note, saying she inverted the story of Sally's rescue by Alexander Scott, which really happened, to present her own viewpoint that women's heroism was probably recast at some point in history as reinforced gender norms. Really? That's not in keeping with the Sir Walter Scott chivalry and courage that typified the era and eventually led to the disaster, or helped lead to the disaster, of the Civil War. Given the time and culture, I would expect reckless and downright foolish attempts by the men attendees that probably hurt more than helped. That would be in keeping with the silly attitudes that led to the destruction of the South 40 years later. Arbitrarily changing it to fit contemporary attitudes? Well, no. Revisionism is a literary felony. Now, there were far more women killed in the disaster than men. To her credit, Beanland provides the alternate explanation that women's fashion made it difficult for them to escape or avoid the flames. Those petticoat layers can make a handy torch. And no doubt there were instances of such cowardice given by the men, given the overall cravenness of the times. But that is better presented as a specific instance, not as an overall critique of reinforced gender norms. But again, that is a quibble, and just a quibble. And I know pretty much that revisionism is the standard these days in any fiction published, or else the Politburo won't let it see the light of day, so who am I to complain? This is still an excellent novel. Fast-paced, downright exciting, hold your breath tense in places, and well worth your time. Out here. See you later.